everyone, welcome to my new channel. I've been wanting to make a YouTube channel about my art for a really long time, and actually I do have some experience. I was a YouTuber when I was like 10 or 11. I had like 200 subscribers. So I wanted to make a new channel, and the first video that I'm going to make is a sort of beginner's guide to doing commissions. I've actually kind of been requested to talk about this a few times. I've gotten quite a few DMs in the past asking how I sell my art, how I do commissions, and I'm not like a super professional or anything. I haven't done like a crazy amount of commissions, but it's been enough to learn some things, some of them the hard way. So I'm going to be talking about, first of all, how you can find customers, which is the hardest part, how you should go about pricing, some common scams that you should avoid, and just some general tips of things that I have learned, as I said, the hard way. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing is, how do you get customers? How do you find people that are interested in your type of artwork? I do want to say that I'm a traditional artist. So for digital artists, some of these things may be different, but I think you can still follow along. It just might be easier for you because you don't have to worry about things like shipping and such. But yeah, so social media, I think places like Instagram or TikTok are actually very difficult to work with, especially TikTok. On Instagram, I've had like a couple of reels go kind of viral, like 50,000 likes and such, which is great for me. TikTok, it's so hard to get over like 500 views on a video and over like 100 likes. It's so difficult. And so you should actually go on some other places. The places that I found quite a lot of commissions on, and just people buying my art in general, are Facebook and Reddit. Now, I think these work because on Facebook you have groups where there's a certain type of people that you can search for, and on Reddit as well, there's subreddits. So, Reddit, well, it's not a great place. I was gonna say that, but it's not a great place. But if you're an artist, it can be kind of a great place. So yeah, on Facebook, so for example, in August of last year, I started doing pet portraits, which it's pretty oversaturated, but I like doing it, so I did it. And I found quite a few customers. The first way that I got them on Facebook, I posted my art on a group just with people from my town, right? The town that I live in. I posted my art on this group, and I was like, hey, I'm a local artist and I have just started doing pet portraits. These are my prices. And I got, I think, like 5 DMs or something. I got quite a few. I think the advice that I always give is, don't put your art in places that are already full of art. You need to like stand out. So like, for example, in this group, people go on there just to talk about the town, the weather, what's going on. They don't expect an artist to be there. If you're posting on a group about artists sharing their art, that's all that there is. People aren't going to be surprised by yours because they're on there to see a ton of different people posting the same thing. But if you go where you're not expected to be, it works better. For pet portraits, don't go on a group that's like drawings of pets, because again, that's probably only where artists are going to be. But if you post on a group about cat owners, that's where buyers will be, because they're not people interested in drawing animals, they're people interested in their own animals, if that makes sense. Now, if you're also like a social type of person, which I am not, so I haven't done this, a lot of people have told me, maybe you could go into like local cafes or restaurants or something, and you can kind of offer your work in exchange for them to promote it. Still on the topic of pet portraits, if you draw cats, you could go to a cat cafe and be like, I'm gonna draw one of your cats, and then you could hang it up and put like my username on the bottom, phone number, whatever, and then people can find you and contact you from there. So that can be a good way to promote it as well. Murals as well, I don't know. Okay, now pricing is also something that I kind of get asked about. Well, personally, I don't know if I'm good enough to give you guys advice on this, because everyone is always like, no, you need to raise your prices, like these aren't good. But then, to start off, I think if you actually want to sell, unfortunately, it's harsh, but you need to have pretty low prices. Not to the point where you can't even like earn anything from it, but you can't earn really a lot most of the time. At least that's how it was for me. Most of the time, you need to start a bit low. First of all, you should always put a price for a drawing and not include shipping price. You need to figure that out later. I'll talk about shipping a bit more after. You need to consider, your materials, like if you're doing a painting, how much does a canvas cost, how much paint are you going to use, the difficulty of the subject that is requested. Is it going to be a really hard piece of artwork? Am I just following a reference photo, or do they want me to use a ton of reference photos, and that makes it more difficult? So take that into consideration. The amount of time that it's going to take, you can't know for sure, but just try to imagine how long it might take. Another thing that you need to take into consideration, if you use Etsy like me, Etsy takes so many fees. So like if I sell a drawing, they take like 15% of my money. Like just Etsy does that, it's not like government taxes or something. Like those are another thing. Etsy takes so much money just for them to run their, may I say, pretty shitty platform. I don't like Etsy, but unfortunately it's just what works best for me right now. But I don't like it. I'm kind of a hater of Etsy. So if you use a platform like that, try to see that as well. I think there's some websites that like can calculate how much Etsy is going to take from you of fees based on how much you're selling something for. And they also take fees from the shipping prices, so it's like the total amount. Alright, so now I'm just going to quickly talk about some common scams that you should be avoiding. These are related to Instagram, TikTok, and Etsy. This is where I've seen them. So first of all, on Etsy, when I first opened my shop, for days I was getting, no, for weeks actually, I was getting these messages that were like, ordered something from you, but I'm not seeing my order or something like that, so you need to give me your phone number or your email. They always ask for one of those two things, and you should never give them phone number or email. Don't give it to them. If you sell something on Etsy, it's going to show in your orders. If it doesn't show for them, it's because they didn't pay. Sometimes they might message you and be like, oh, I paid, but my order isn't showing. No, if someone ordered from you, you will see it in the orders. Then on Instagram and TikTok, a very common one recently is that there are these bots, and they make themselves look kind of real. They've usually got like photos of families or something on their profile, especially on TikTok. My friend actually told me that she got one on Instagram, but I mostly get them on TikTok. They're these bots that will message you and be like, are your commissions open? And then you're gonna be like, yes, they are. They always say something like, I want you to draw my dog or my child or something. I have a budget of $200, $400 and I need you to do it, blah, blah, I don't know. It always, after you get a couple of them, you recognize them very easily because it's always the same. Of course, if someone asks just, hey, are your commissions open? You can reply, but then if they reply back like that, just block them. Okay, so now I'm just going to talk about some general advice, tips, things that I learned from my short time doing commissions so far, but they are still very important. The first thing is, when you are getting a commission, and this is something that I didn't do for a very long time, and I really regret it because I got scammed like 3 times, maybe 2-3 times. I did like a whole entire painting drawing for someone and then they just ghosted me. So you should always get like half of the payment first, or like halfway through, and then the other half at the end. So for me personally, if I'm doing like a drawing, I will do the sketch. If they're okay, if the client is okay with the composition, they think it looks okay, they send me half of the money. You can do this through like PayPal or something like that. And the final payment, I just do it through Etsy. So I add the drawing and then I write commission in the title, and then I send the link to my client and they buy it from there. And although I said that I hate Etsy, because I do, the good thing about it is that it kind of gives you credibility, especially at the beginning when you're not like very known, because it sounds nicer if someone tells you I have an official shop on a very well-known platform, rather than just, I'm gonna give you my credit card information, put your money on my credit card. It helps clients trust you more, I guess. So the second thing is, and I have learned this recently because of a story that I will say in a second, when you're showing your client process photos, or especially the finished drawing, you need to put a watermark with your name, your username, whatever on it. And some people say they do this in Photoshop. You don't need Photoshop. I do it on PixArt. So I just add my photo and then I write my username and then I turn the opacity down. So, you know, unless you're like really good at editing photos, they're not going to be able to just like print it out because it's going to look really ugly because it has your watermark on it, but they can still see the drawing and tell you if they're satisfied with it. And yeah, I learned this because this bitch from Facebook, she messaged me from that Facebook group that I was talking about, and she wanted to commission me for a drawing, and I made the drawing. I kept showing her the process and everything. She was like, oh, I love it, it's great. And then I finished the drawing and I'm like, okay, so when can we meet up so that you can pay me and I can give the drawing to you? She kept changing up the dates. She changed them like 2-3 times. And then the last time that we were supposed to meet in the morning, she texted me and she's like, I can't, my grandma died. And I'm sorry, but I don't believe that. I don't think her grandma died. So that was in like September of last year, a few weeks ago, because I love stalking people. It's a passion of mine. I go on Facebook and I search her up, and on her Facebook page, her cover photo on Facebook was my drawing. And so I messaged her and I'm like, you need to take that down because you never paid me. Like, this drawing is not yours to use. But then I texted her like 3-4 times and she just ghosted me. And even days after that, she kept viewing my Instagram stories. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? So yeah, if you don't want people to use your artwork that they didn't pay for as their Facebook cover photo, put a watermark on it. The third thing is, why did I go 10 for the third thing is always be very well informed on how shipping works from your country and if you can ship to other countries. So personally, I live in Italy, so I'm able to ship to Italy and the EU with no problems. But for example, to the UK, because of Brexit, I lost the money for 2 deliveries that never happened because they just got like stuck at customs. So you need to have like a lot of forms, certifications and stuff for some countries. So just like go to your post office maybe and just like ask them about stuff, or just do a lot of research online. But yeah, and also packaging them as well. Be very careful, use a lot of bubble wrap, cardboard. Alright, so I think I've been talking for a really long time and I hope that I can edit this video to be like not longer than 15 or 20 minutes. I talk a lot. I'm really sorry. But yeah, I've been wanting to make a YouTube channel about my art for quite a long time, and I hope that I can entertain someone. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about commissions, selling art, just comment and I'll reply to everyone. So thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!